If bench pressing is hurting your shoulders, you're probably making one of these three mistakes. And if you keep doing them, you're gonna bench press a lot less and eventually quit because your shoulders are gonna hurt more and more. I'm Ken, 30 plus years as a physical therapist and a wrestling coach. This channel is for men over 50 who want to get strong again and build their best years. Stay with me and you'll have a shoulder-friendly bench press setup with a simple plan for this week. We play the long game here, gentlemen. Lifting now is good, but lifting 20 years from now is what keeps you dominant as a man. But before we get started, I want a quick safety note. If you have sudden weakness, numbness, pain shooting down your arm, or night pain that's getting worse, go get it checked. You might need some imaging. But if it mainly hurts when you're benching and then it slowly gets worse over time, this is often a setup and a bar path problem. In the human body, with few exceptions, something that is more mobile is less stable, and something that is more stable is typically less mobile. Now, shoulders are very mobile and therefore sacrifice their stability. The shoulder has a very little amount of bone touching each other in the shoulder joint. The main stabilizers, the rotator cuff, are also smaller and weaker muscles than most of the prime movers in the body. And the only attachment your entire shoulder joint has to your main skeleton is through your collarbone, we call your clavicle, which hinges on both sides. You can understand how the shoulders are designed for mobility and prone to damage when not properly stabilized. All right, let's go to the gym. All right, guys, we're going to talk about mistake number one, which of course is the exact opposite of the correct technique. Too many guys just lay down and randomly let their shoulder blades sit where they are. I call those sloppy scaps, right? We don't want sloppy scaps. We want them pinned and glued down towards our back pockets. Too many guys, as they lay down, they just let their shoulder blades be random where they might be. And as they unrack a weighted bar, all this pressure now starts to go down through their shoulders, and one scap might even be different than the other, and now they have these random forces going through their shoulders causing a lot of pain. It also stops the latissimus dorsi muscles from contracting as we're pinning and gluing our scaps down towards our back pockets, which are major stabilizers for our shoulders to keep our shoulders safe. And big mistake number two is elbows out to the side. Guys start bench pressing with their elbows out to the side and their arms are like that old propeller plane, not like that jet fighter we were talking about. And they keep them up out to the side here, and this pinches that soft tissue in the shoulder. We have a bump in our upper arm bone that ends up jamming up into another bone in our shoulder, which I call the roof of the shoulder, and it pinches all of that soft tissue in there. So now we're pinching all of our soft tissue in this region here. And it also makes all of the load stress go into the small muscles of the shoulder and the small ligaments and tendons that they're not designed to take. And now this leads us into big mistake number three. So the last one is starting here and thinking the bar path needs to go straight up and down, which for all of the other core four lifts is correct. This is the big mistake. Everyone thinks the bar path needs to be straight, but not for the bench press. So keeping the bar straight up and down this way stops our big pec muscles from getting all of the work done when we're bench pressing. And it also stops our latissimus dorsi muscles again from being able to be activated while we bench press as well. So those are the three big mistakes. One, sloppy scaps, right? You lay down and they're kind of all over the place and they're not seated back and down. Two, elbows are up and out to the side like a propeller plane, not like a jet fighter. And three, trying to make the bar go straight up and down when it's supposed to be in an arced motion. Avoid those three major mistakes to make sure your shoulders stay strong, healthy, and pain-free while you're bench pressing. And today we're going over the three major teaching points for keeping our shoulders safe while we're bench pressing and to keep them pain-free. Number one, keeping our shoulder blades back and down. I call this putting our shoulder blades in our back pocket. We're gonna call them our scaps for our scapulas, okay? So we want our scaps in our back pockets down and back. And that really allows the shoulder joint to have correct alignment when we are driving that weighted load up. So let's go to the bench and take a look how we're gonna make that happen. So as I lay down on the bench, here, I'm gonna gently rock side to side and actively pull my scaps back together like so. And I'm gonna hold them there with my upper back muscles. Now, as I grab the bar, as we have our dowel here, I'm going to pin my shoulder blades to the bench and slide my body back towards the bar to drive my scaps down into my back pockets. This creates, as you can see, a really proud chest that is pushing up towards the ceiling and opening up my front shoulder angle to keep my shoulder joints in proper position. Now, if you're gonna remember anything from this video on keeping your shoulders safe, this is the one to remember. The beauty of this exercise is holding your scaps in this position activates your huge upper back muscles called your latissimus dorsi muscles, and they turn this bench exercise also into an upper back strengthening exercise. So now we unrack and our chest is nice and proud and tall because our shoulder blades are pinned back and down towards our back pockets. Technique piece number 2 with keeping our shoulders pain-free and safe with the bench press is elbow and arm position. Just like in the last video we did with the shoulder press, keeping that pain-free, where our elbows are pointing is an excellent indicator of what our shoulder joints are doing. What we're looking for with our arms is keeping them at about a 45-degree angle while we bench press. I like to tell people our arms are not like a bi-propeller plane, they're like a jet fighter. So we're keeping, if our arms were wings, we're keeping our wings back like a jet fighter down to 45 degrees. This puts our shoulders in the anatomical position where our big chest muscles, our pecs, our pectoral muscles, are the prime movers for moving the bar up and down, which is a job they were exactly designed to do and takes the pressure and stress of moving the heavy load off of the smaller tissues in the shoulder joint itself. Technique number 3 for bench pressing that keeps our shoulders pain-free and safe is the actual bar path. When we start and unrack the bar is going to be directly over our shoulder blades because that's how gravity is going to want the bar to be so we can hold that heavy load up. But as our arms are now going to turn into jet fighters and we bring the bar down, the bar actually starts to come down on an arc and lands on the lower third of our rib cage here. And that creates an arcing motion with the barbell. So as we start with the barbell over our shoulders, if this was the top view, and bring it down with our arms like a jet fighter and lands at the bottom third of our chest and bring it back up again. So it looks like this if I were laying down. I'm here, and as I bring the bar down to my chest, to the bottom third, it arcs down, and as I drive it up, it comes back up to over my shoulders again. If you're not sure exactly where the bottom third of your chest is, I tell people use the 3-hand rule. Start with one hand on your upper chest, then your next hand underneath, and by the time you get your third hand down there, that's where the barbell should be touching, is somewhere along the area of where your third hand working down the front of your chest is. This is how we run the bench press in the second 50 strong system. Guys, we're only working 30 minutes at a time, 4 days a week. Monday, squats. Tuesday, bench. Thursday, deadlift, and then Friday, our standing press. That's 2 hours total, and it's enough for major benefits in your body and your health and your life. So let's start with the bench press. We're starting with warm-ups for the first 5 minutes. And on the bench, you're gonna start with your wooden dowel. This is where you get to warm up all of the small tissues in your shoulders and really check in on your form. So 2 sets with the wooden dowel, and then move to an empty bar. Those empty bar sets allow you to add about 45 pounds, that's typically the weight of an Olympic bar, onto your shoulders while still checking into your form. Then you're gonna work your way up to 3 work sets of 5 reps. And we always leave the last good rep in our pockets. We don't wiggle and strain and have that sloppy last rep. Now go to second50strong.com for the free strength training crash course to get all of the programming assistance you need. Then for assistance exercises after the bench press, do 2 sets of push-ups to fatigue, not failure. Fatigue stops when your form is still perfect, but you're tired. Failure makes you get sloppy. Keep the weight light in the beginning. Focus on the 3 technique points we went over in the gym and avoid the 3 major mistakes. Then as you slowly increase your weight, drop your reps. We follow Jim Wendler's 5-3-1 program because it's brilliant for men over 50. I explain it fully in the free crash course. If you want the full step-by-step system, grab my free strength training crash course for men over 50 at second50strong.com. It's built on one idea: safe, simple, short, and smart weight training. And that means you're progressing as a man without paying for it with pain. And grab my book, Grow or Die, on Amazon if you want the full framework for dominating your second 50 years. Gentlemen, your elbow position, your bar path, and your shoulder blades being fixed, get those 3 things right to stop punishing yourself while bench pressing. And always remember, most men fade, but you're not most men.